Okay, this is going to be part 2 of my review of the original Spyro Trilogy. So, basically, I don't quite remember how you defeat Ripto. Mainly, the battle mainly focuses on power-ups that that change your flame to other things that Spyro can breathe to knock Ripto down. He mainly uses his scepter as a weapon. That's all I really remember. And so once you defeat him, you get all your money back from money bags because there's cutscenes in this game. Another thing worth mentioning in this game is that you carry out some of the inventory that you obtain, which in this game are orbs and gems instead of eggs, dragons, and gems. I think all there really is in this game is orbs and gems rather than other things to collect. Those are the main two things anyway. And what you do is to get many of these orbs, rather than them just lying around everywhere, which a lot of them still are, some of them are obtained through doing missions in the different stages. And these missions are more situational, and you use your flame or your charge and your other abilities and other environmental features to obtain these orbs in the missions. And the missions vary quite substantially from you riding on like a trolley cart and trying to blow things up to flaming down dinosaurs so that people don't get eaten. Those kind of things that weren't around in Spyro 1, where dragons were just kind of lying around and it was just kind of a game that was purely about collecting things, and there weren't really any challenges to complete. So that's the other notable difference between Spyro the Dragon 2 and Spyro the Dragon 3, or Spyro the Dragon and Spyro the Dragon 2. Now, on to reviewing Spyro the Dragon 3. Debatably the best in the series because it has had the most complicated gameplay so far at that point. I'm not going to get into the other games in the series because, personally speaking, I think there was a decline in quality because Insomniac was no longer behind the games. But anyway, Spyro 3 is part of the original trilogy and was made by Insomniac Games, released in the year 2000, and this is referenced in the title of the game, Spyro 3, the Year of the Dragon, year 2000, the year the game was released. In this game, you collect mainly gems and dragon eggs. I think that's about all you collect, because and instead of dragon eggs being sort of secondary to freeing dragons in Spyro 1, they are the main focus. And unlike in the first game, when you obtain a dragon egg, each of them hatches, each of the dragons has its own name, and each of the dragons does something when they hatch. These are just little cutscenes that you can ignore or pass by. It's just a nice little touch. Now, one of the first things you're going to notice when you if you finish playing Spyro 2 and you move on to Spyro 3, is that in Spyro 3, at the very beginning of the game, you have all your abilities that you learned in Spyro 2, swimming underwater, climbing, head bashing, and skating. Everything. It's all there. So consistency is very obvious there, and for good reason, because it employs those same gameplay mechanics. Another notable difference between this game and Spyro 2 is that you're still able to complete. You still have to do missions to obtain the eggs, like you did for the orbs in Spyro 1. But unlike the unlike in Spyro 2, you have new characters that you can play as that you unlock from Moneybags by paying him. Yes, Moneybags is back. He still does stuff for you. He still takes your money, and you get to free these additional characters that have their own stages within each of the worlds. And the first being a kangaroo named Sheila. Each of these characters has their own moveset too. Like Sheila jumps, can jump and do a very high double jump, and can also kick things. And this deepens the game. This adds depth to the gameplay because each of these characters has their new abilities, and each of these stages is important to complete if you want to do a complete game where you want to obtain all the inventory and thus complete the game rather than just beat it. So there's the kangaroo. There's a guy called Sergeant Bird who can actually fly and has blaster cannons that can blast things. He can also drop bombs if you obtain them. And each of these stages is designed around these characters. There's a Sergeant Bird. Crap, this isn't really fresh in my mind. I'm just gonna go look some stuff up. Hold on. Yeah, there's like a monkey you can play as and stuff. Yeah, there's a Yeti called Bentley, and there's a monkey called Agent 9. Bentley's basically just a big beater. He's a big, heavy, slow guy that walks around with a club. He can spin the club. He can use the club to bash things. And there's a monkey called Agent 9 who's also fairly slow. And he basically just shoots things. You can aim and stuff too, and that adds some good depth to the gameplay. And I'm really repeating myself with everything, but let's just move on here. To get access to different worlds, you have to hop on a balloon or hop on various aircraft that take you to the next world, and you have to complete each level, or you have to reach the end of each level before you can get to a different world. Sort of similar to Spyro 1, where you had to get to a new world, you had to obtain a certain amount of inventory from each level before you could, or total inventory before you could progress to the next world. And also similar to Spyro 2, where you had to what did you have? You had to obtain talismans by reaching the end of each level in each world before you could progress to the next. So there's that, and once you board the aircraft to get to the next world, between the worlds there's a boss in each. I don't really remember much about the bosses right now, but each of them, in each boss fight, you're assisted by whichever of the additional characters that you can play as you freed in each world. So if you freed in the first boss fight, since you freed Sheila in the first world, you're assisted by her in the fight, and she does stuff for you, and you have to attack the boss. And then for the final boss is an empress who wants to, I think she wants to rid the world of dragons or something, or she just wants to take it over. I think that's it. I think they basically have no story. Again, it's kind of like Spyro 2, where Ripto just wanted to dominate everything and kill Spyro. But story isn't really very important in these games. Yeah, the final boss is the sorceress. She flies around and uses her I think she uses a scepter as well to attack you, and you go around on a tank and blast her. I think that's what you do, and you're assisted by Agent 9, the monkey, because you free him in the last world. That's basically everything in Spyro 3. Other things worth mentioning across all three games are the flight stages, in which Spyro can actually fly. They're called flights in Spyro 1. I think they're called speedways in Spyro 2 and 3. And in these stages, you basically fly around. You're given a time limit. You have to use your flame, or you have to use your flame to destroy things, or in the cases of things such as rings and arches, you just have to pass through them, and you have to destroy all these items within the set time limit. In Spyro 3, there's also another challenge where you have to in these stages where you have to do races with some other creatures, and you can blast them to slow them down. You can blast them with your power-ups that are littered along the course, and you can also flame them. Another thing, the final thing I'm going to mention is the music. The music in these games is very unique. It's probably going to be a hit or a miss with most people. It's sort of, I wouldn't even know how to describe it. It's by a guy called, I don't know, crap, what's his name? He did the soundtrack for Good Burger as well, and it sounds very similar to that if you've seen that movie. It's sort of reggae-ish, it's whimsical, it fits the games very well, I find, but it's very strange music too. It's got some soft rock, it's got some guitar chords, a lot of very heavy on drumming and percussion. It sort of sounds like reggae, but it's a lot more whimsical sounding, if that even means anything. But I could go Stuart Copeland, that's the guy's name. Yeah, go look up the music in this game. I highly recommend it. I really like it. You might really hate it, but I would say go check it out just to see what it is. It is very musically unique. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to say. I really loved this series growing up, at least the first three games. I played Spyro 4, and it sucked ass, so I didn't really continue buying the games. After that, I didn't play anymore. I hear Hero's Tale is alright, but I haven't tried it yet, and I don't know about any of the ones past that. So this is all for my review today. Take care, everyone.